7 News at 5:30.
They've been warned by the international community, but that may not be enough.
Today, the U.S. sends out a strong message to Iran telling them not to pursue a nuclear weapons program. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anna Holoman.
I'm Dave Jordan. There was tough talk in Washington today about keeping nuclear weapons out of Iran.
Vice President Dick Cheney says Iran can expect, quote, meaningful consequences if it doesn't comply with the international community. Today in Europe, the United Nations nuclear watchdog is deciding whether to take this case to the next level. Tracy Potts reports from Washington, D.C.
Amid concern that Iran is moving toward developing a nuclear weapon, the vice president was firm.
The Iranian regime needs to know that if it stays on its present course, the international community is prepared to impose meaningful consequences.
Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice insists those consequences will start with diplomacy.
We have been very clear that we did not think that as a first matter we would try to move to sanctions.
Russia's foreign minister in Washington assures the U.S. that as negotiator, his country has offered no compromise that would allow Iran to develop a full-scale nuclear program. At the International Atomic Energy Agency meeting in Vienna, Iran fought back.
Do not let unilateral policy of the United States to take the multilateral diplomacy as a hostage.
A diplomat at the meeting reports that Iran offered to suspend full-scale operations for up to 2 years, but wants to keep a smaller nuclear program for research.
That is simply not acceptable given the regime's history and its continued defiance.
The Pentagon is concerned about Iranian fighters and explosives being sent over the border into Iraq.
It is something that they, I think, will look back on as having been an error in judgment.
With tough talk in Washington and concern in the streets of Tehran, this standoff appears to be headed for the United Nations.
Russia and China both have veto power on the UN Security Council. Both have strong trade ties to Iran and are hoping to keep the disagreement from going much further.
Governors from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama came to Washington today to demand from Congress all of the aid promised by President Bush after the killer hurricanes Katrina and Rita. Steve Handelsman has the latest from Capitol Hill.
The Gulf State governors, 3 Republicans, and Democrat Kathleen Blanco of Louisiana complained to senators that the federal government has not spent the funds on housing or on storm protection promised by President Bush.
Please do not make us wait any longer, and please help to honor his commitment to our people.
She wants $5.8 billion more. Perry of Texas wants $2 billion more and less focus on Katrina.
And the federal government should treat Rita victims in both states with equal compassion, equal assistance.
Total federal spending since the hurricanes is $88 billion, the White House said today, with another $20 billion requested.
The president has made it clear that the federal government will do what it takes to help residents of the Gulf Coast rebuild their lives and rebuild their communities.
Insurance companies slammed by the storms say the states and the federal government have to back them up in the future with emergency funds, a demand supported today by the former deputy of Homeland Security.
We simply don't know where the next mega catastrophe will strike. But we can today take action to help us prepare better for it when it actually occurs.
As the dollar debate rages in Washington, residents of New Orleans